my name is Kate Alberti and I'm a member of the cholera team at WHO in Geneva. This presentation is going to provide a bit of background on the revised cholera kit. There's a second part, which is a demonstration of a tool that has been developed in order to help guide ordering of the kits. So many of you will know the old kits, which were referred to as the Interagency Diarrheal Disease Kits, or the DDK sometimes. And these were kits that were provided and ordered for support to cholera epidemics. But what we found from feedback in the field after some large epidemics, such as in Zimbabwe and Sierra Leone, is that they weren't very operational. They had everything you needed, but they were difficult to distribute. So, starting in 2013, WHO started a whole consultation process, including other partners who use the kits, such as UNICEF, IFRC, MSF, and other partners, and we revised the kit, looking at how to make it more operational and easier to use in the field. So as we said, the whole kit was evaluated, and a completely new kit has been developed, and this is what I'll be presenting today. So the revised cholera kits, as they're called, are called cholera kits rather than IDD kits, and they have been in the WHO catalog since 2016. The kits, as I said, are much more flexible and they are adapted to different contexts and hopefully easier to distribute in the field. And as I said, there was a partner tool that was developed, and that will be shown in a demonstration after this presentation. So although we refer to it as a cholera kit, it's in fact 6 different kits with modules. Most of the kits have modules, and each of the kits and the modules can be ordered separately. As with the IDD kit, these kits are really designed for preparedness and for the initial stages of an outbreak response. So the old kit was a large kit for 500 patients. The new cholera kit is in fact 6 kits and submodules, and each of the kits and modules can be ordered independently. As we go through all of the different kits, you'll be able to see that you can order any piece that is appropriate for your context. So the new kits are in fact 1 investigation kit, 1 laboratory set of materials. In fact, it's not a specific kit. 3 treatment kits for the community, periphery, and central level, and a hardware kit. And we're going to go through each of these. The investigation kit is a very small, compact set of materials for taking samples. And each of these is designed for taking samples for 10 patients. And it's you can take either stool samples, fresh stool samples, rectal swabs, there's Carrie Blair in it, filter paper, and it comes with all the necessary materials such as gloves, a patient information note, markers, plastic bags, everything like that. The one thing that's not included is the triple packaging, and that you should have in stock for all other types of investigations as well. So this kit, you'll probably want to have multiples because it's really designed to go out with an investigation team. And then, to safely get samples back to the laboratory. The second thing, as I said, is the laboratory supplies. So in the past, WHO didn't in fact have any contracts with suppliers, so it was very difficult to order laboratory materials. What has happened now is there isn't a specific kit, because in each context you're going to want to order different materials, but it's something that in discussion with the national laboratory or the regional laboratory in your context, you can find out if there are particular materials that they usually run short of or that they don't have. And these kind of things can be growth materials, it can be antibiotic discs, it can be reagents, and you can order them. So what's happened is that WHO now has a long-term agreement with different manufacturers, and they'll be able to get these materials much more quickly. But as usual, you need to do this in advance, and you need to talk to the laboratory as part of your preparedness so that you can order them and make sure that enough materials are present in country when you need them. So the treatment kits, as I said in the past, it was 1 big treatment kit for 500 patients. What we now have are 3 different sets of treatment kits, and they are each for treating 100 patients. So what varies is the number of patients who you'll be treating with IV rehydration versus oral rehydration. So those with severe dehydration versus some or moderate dehydration. The community kit is ORS based, so it's for 100 patients with no or some signs of dehydration, and it in fact can be divided into 2, so you can split it up as 50-50. So this is really designed for a community health worker or a community volunteer. The peripheral level is designed to support a healthcare center or other with 40 patients with severe dehydration requiring IV rehydration and 60 patients with no or some signs of dehydration requiring ORS treatment. And the central level, same 100 patients total, but 80 of those patients with severe dehydration and only 20 with some or no signs of dehydration. And if you need to, you can always mix and match. So you might have one central kit to support a hospital, and if there's a nearby oral rehydration point, then you can order a community kit to go with it. So now I'm going to go through a little bit of the content and the structure of each of the kits, but not the actual list. So the list is available on the WHO website, and we've put the link to the kit page at the end of this presentation, and then you can go and look at all the specific materials and the quantities that are in each kit. It's also available on the calculation tool as part of the calculation tool that is going to be demonstrated just following this. So I said the community kit is really designed for an oral rehydration point or a community volunteer or a community health worker to use in the community. The three modules, the drugs module, it's literally just ORS and zinc. The equipment includes things like cups, a jerry can, and very importantly, it actually has a water filter. In the past, we would distribute ORS, but we weren't sure that the ORS was being made up with clean water. So now we're also distributing a water filter to ensure that the water we're making the ORS with is actually drinkable. And there's also a document module which has forms and IEC materials. A lot of this comes on a USB key. So that's the community kit. Again, that's for 100 patients to be treated at the community level. So now we're going to look at the Peripheral Kit, which is the first of the kits where you'll really see how the modules work together to build up a kit. So what you see is you have the whole Peripheral Kit, which is designed for what is often referred to as a CTU, a cholera treatment unit, to support a health center where you're going to be treating patients with both no and some signs of rehydration and patients with severe dehydration requiring IV. And again, just to emphasize, you can order specific modules or you can order the whole kit. So the drugs module here, you see, as for the community kit, you can treat patients who have no or some signs of dehydration with oral rehydration and zinc. You can also treat patients with severe dehydration who are going to require Ringer's lactate and antibiotics. So the second module is the renewable supplies module, and this one you'll see really focuses on the IV part of the treatments. So it's got scalp vein needles, IV cannulas, giving sets, etc. It's got gloves, and as we've said, you can order that as a separate module. The third module, the equipment module, has got things like a scale, it's got scissors, stethoscope, basins. And what you might do is you might find that you need to order the drugs and renewable supplies, greater quantities of the drugs and renewable supplies modules and fewer of the equipment module, because you'll only need to give a scale to a treatment center once. The logistics module here has things like plastic drums, cholera beds, jerry cans, lamps, all, again, everything that you need to support a cholera treatment, usually a treatment unit if it's a Peripheral Kit. And then the documents module, again, has things like patient cards and IEC materials. So, as I said, these Peripheral Kits, you're going to need people who have some medical training, they're skilled enough to put in an IV, and you're probably providing 24-hour care if you're using these kits. Moving on to the central kit, this kit you'll see is really very similar to the Peripheral Kit. As we said, the proportion will be different because this time you're looking to treat 80 patients with severe dehydration and only 20 with oral rehydration or with no or some signs of dehydration. And there are two things that we've put in the drugs module that we've put in bold, which is the 50% glucose and potassium chloride. These are the only two products, or drugs in this case, that are different between the Peripheral and the central kit. And both of them you need trained medical doctors in order to administer them. And so that's sort of why we highlight it here. Otherwise, all the material is the same. It's the same Ringer's lactate, ORS, zinc in the drugs module, the renewable supplies, again, everything to be giving IVs, including the scalp vein needles, cannulas, giving sets, gloves, gauze, all those things you need in order to safely put in an IV. The other thing I didn't point out when talking about the peripheral kit, the renewable supply module of the peripheral kit, and it's the same for this central kit, is there are again samples, supplies for taking samples, because you're going to want to continue to regularly send some samples from some patients to ensure that you're still treating patients with cholera and to be able to check the antibiotic sensitivity from those samples. So again, otherwise the equipment module is the same as for the peripheral kit with the scales, glucometers, basins, etc. Logistics kit, again, you've got jerry cans, plastic drums, safety, the boundary netting, sprayers, boots, scrubs for the staff, cholera beds. It's a pretty thorough and good collection of materials in order to start running your treatment center. And again, the document module, which is there to support and includes things such as patient cards. The last kit is the hardware kit, and it's really going to depend on your context whether you need it. And this we'll go through again when we're looking at the calculation tool. But the hardware kit is the probably most expensive and the heaviest. And it depends, there may be settings in which most of the materials that are here are already included in warehouses or in supplies for other things. For example, in a country where there's a lot of internal displacement or a lot of refugees, most of these materials are probably already available in country. But if they're not, and if you're a country where these things are difficult to get, then there are these modules, this kit and these modules. But that we do recommend that if possible, you do this through local purchase because it'll be significantly less expensive. If you need it, the shelter module is there with both small and large tents with sheets. And for the large tents, they have shade netting. The water module has everything for the storage and distribution of large quantities of water, the sanitation module for building latrines, the support module has cholera beds and solar lamps, and the fencing module, pretty obvious, it's just to be able to create the boundaries around your structures. So just as a recap, you now have 6 kits that are all designed to help you for preparedness and response to a cholera outbreak. Each one of those kits, or most of them anyway, are made up of modules, and those modules can also be ordered individually depending on your needs. So the 6 kits are investigation kit, a laboratory materials, set of available materials, 3 treatment kits, the community, periphery, and central kits, which are each made up of submodules, and the hardware kit, which is again made up of submodules. You're going to see this again when you look at the introduction to the tool, and we're also going to give you on the next slide the web link so that you can go and look at the actual content of each of the overall kits and their submodules. So this is the link that you can go. It's on the WHO website. If you ever don't have it with you, you can just put cholera kits into the search and you'll find it. And it's got the entire packing list for each of the kits and the modules. And then remember, if you've got questions, we'll give you all the contact details. And also if you have feedback, it's a relatively new revision, and we'd be pleased to have your comments on how it goes when you're making your orders. Thank you very much.